Look, there are problems in the producer community. That doesn't make me problematic as a producer. If I don't call it out, though, if I don't discuss it honestly, and if I don't get my ideas and notions challenged, then I would say that makes me part of the problem. What's going down is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. See how I got 8 hours of sleep and I said that fluently? It's such a good feeling. Good morning. How are you feeling, Erinn and Dave?
I'm feeling good. Got to speak at a high school this morning, and then I'm off to South by Southwest. I didn't think I was going to be going this year, but just started doing some work with Two Lost, and the Two Lost crew is going out there. That sounds kind of dope. The Two Lost crew. I guess that's similar to Two Live crew. There were some people in the comments of the last YouTube some people in the comments of the last episode that were saying that they actually resonated with some of my older references and that made them feel old too. I did see those comments. So I guess there are some older people that watch this podcast. So some people will know about Two Live Crew.
I feel like that's not a super old reference, but yeah.
Two Live Crew is definitely an old, like they haven't put out a song since, the 90s probably.
But their music is in
it might be early 90s.
Dance scene in Black movies. They'll usually have, or like a turn up scene. They'll have like a Two Live Crew. But I guess you're probably right.
They won't know that. I mean, they still won't know the group though. But yeah, maybe I think we might have a few folks that are in the older demographic. So shout out to the 80s babies.
Yeah. What's up, y'all? I'm doing well. I'm a little tired. I don't know why though. I'm at South by, but I was home by 11, which is like great for South by. I slept a full 8 hours as well. But yeah, I'm doing good. I spoke yesterday on the Digilogs panel, which is my first ever South by Southwest panel I spoke on, which was super exciting for me. But it was a great panel. It was talking about, it was called Artistpreneurship. So artists being entrepreneurs, and the reception was so warm. I feel always so welcomed now when I speak in the industry, whereas I won't say that people ever ostracize me, but nobody was ever like, oh my God, I like really engaged with what you said until I would say maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. I feel like whenever I'm in a room and I'm speaking, people really support me. So I'm really grateful. And shout out to the Digilog for having me. So I'm doing well. I'm excited. Several more days of South by ahead. And then I'm going to Dallas later this weekend. So yeah, I'm doing great.
Dope. Is any, I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of gems on the panel, but like any that really resonated with you or that you felt really resonated with the audience during the session?
One of the questions that was asked by artists was like, okay, like, where do I start? Like, how do I start building a big fan base or whatever? And I think I get that question often, but a lot of people came back to me for my answer to this. And I was like, like start with what you have. I think that so many people are listing off the things that they don't have. Like, well, I don't have any money. I don't live in a big city. I don't really have a lot of support from my family. So I tell people start with what they have. And then I also tell people that if you don't feel like you're a social media person, you're going to eventually have to get there. But if you don't want to be on social media and consistently producing content, you have to be outside. And so I gave the example from my life. Like I was selling out shows in Atlanta before I was ever on Instagram, and I rarely posted on Facebook. So I never had to rely on social media to sell shows because I'm outside. Like I talk to people like me. I throw really interesting events, and I'm really intentional about choosing the proper scale for my show. So instead of going to a 250 cap venue, I go to a 100 cap venue, and I would choose it on, like midday on a Sunday or early on a Thursday night. And then I would invite just a ton of people, and I'd work really hard to do that. So appropriate scale, but also utilizing what you have. Like I have a mouth, I have a likable personality. I didn't really know about social media, and I'm still not great about posting, but even that's something I said, even still now, I've only posted twice this year, and we still consistently sell out shows, but we have a mailing list and we utilize other tactics. So I just told people, like, stop looking at what they don't have or what they think they should have, and use what you have and then go from there.
Nice. Very good advice. I would also encourage you to just, even if you don't put it out, which I think, you need to eventually, like, just start recording stuff that you think is in your lane. Like, you need those reps anyway. And that early content you might want to share later. Once you have a little traction and you're able to laugh at yourself, that's good content to see for your fans. So I would encourage you to put it out. But even if you're not comfortable putting it out, get the reps in early in terms of creating different types of content that you think is in line with your brand. So nice. All right, so let's start. I know these Spotify changes the announcement came out maybe a few weeks ago. We never talked about them. I don't think there's anything like super revolutionary, but I do think some of them are pretty dope. So Spotify announced some changes at an event or a conference call. I don't know. I think they had an event. I think they have an annual event where they announce like some changes. So the first one, vertical feed, previews, and pre-saves. It was always weird to me that we had to go through a third party to do like pre-saves. And then it was like really, you have to do a lot just to pre-save something. And I'm assuming most people didn't really do it. So now you can pre-save within Spotify. I haven't tried it yet. I don't know if it's something that's live or something that's upcoming very soon. But any thoughts on those three things? So it's vertical feed. I think they want to mirror more of like a social media vibe. And then previews and pre-save. Anything interesting in that first bucket?
I'm wondering, like, is the vertical feed more so for user experience? Maybe I haven't updated my Spotify, but I don't really see I don't see that change on my Spotify. But I like the groupings as playlist right now. I don't really want it to look more like social media because I kind of get like, I don't know, I get burned out on looking at the same type of feed format. That's why I enjoy going on different places because the feed format is different. So I don't know. I'm wondering if it's something that's going to make a drastic difference. I did see some of the specs for it, but I'm wondering, is that on the artist side or is that on the fan experience side?
I'm not sure. I think it's on both. And from what I understand, it hopefully will increase some discoverability for new artists. I don't know. I don't think that. I mean, the pre-save one is useful, but I'm not. I mean, the other one's just kind of like a wait and see if I like it or not, because I don't think mine's been updated either. So maybe I need to update.
Yeah, I wonder if like the vertical thing is going to increase artist discovery or decrease it, because I think when people are listening in the background and just allowing Spotify to recommend us, one song after another, and they're a little more passive in the process and just kind of, lying back and waiting to hear what comes next, that I can see how that could potentially allow for newer music to make it into their Spotify. But if they're just treating it like Tinder, that, I don't know, is that good or bad?
Like I said, I think this one's more of just kind of like a wait and see. Like, I don't know. But the next bucket of changes, discovery mode and smart shuffle. So discovery mode is pissed a lot of people off on Twitter. This is the program where you can select a certain number of your songs or all of your songs. And when they are streamed, they'll receive, I think it's a 30% less royalty rate. But in exchange, your songs will be more easily discovered. So of course, people are already upset at what they're saying are low royalty rates on Spotify. So they're saying, oh, you want people to get paid even less, kind of like a payola system. However, from the few artists that I've talked to that have used discovery mode, they've been very happy with it. And if you just think about the math, right? Like, especially as an up and coming artist, like, let's just say a song does get double the streams for 30% less in royalties. Like, that's a net positive, right? Like, you just, your music is streamed by more people and you got more money. So I guess
We use discovery mode for almost every one of our artists. Because I was it's funny because I remember starting the beta right when I started being on the MEC like a year and a half ago. Because that was like one of the first episodes we talked about it. And I remember looking over to see when it started on a calendar, and you were like, dang, you're organized. And I was like, well, I just want to see if it works. So I had to have like my calendar to see how many dates. But I would say on average, we see a 4x increase in streams. So
4x
yeah.
on average?
Yeah. Yeah, for my artists and the songs that we playlist. So like for instance, one of the first songs that we ever put in discovery mode was a song that was about a year old for Caleb. That was a year and a half ago. When we put it in discovery mode, he was at almost 1 million streams on that song. So that song was about a year old, almost at 1 million streams. He just sent me a screenshot this morning. So it's a year and a half later, and we're at 7.5 million streams on that song. It's his most streamed song. And so we're seeing that trend across most of our discovery mode songs. So we have internally a formula that I created as far as what songs that we want to put into discovery mode. And I typically don't put more than 5 songs into discovery mode. And we do them for typically at least 90 days now. Because when it first started, I think it was like a 60-day trial. And then they were doing this thing where they were like, at least our distributor was asking us if we wanted to opt in for 6 months, but now we're just like typically 90 days. But I won't do any of their new songs, and I won't do their lead streamed song, but I'll do a song that I think people will really resonate with that missed out on maybe some of the success because it was on an album or because it was a change in genre. Like for this song, it was an R&B song. It was one of his first songs that was an R&B song that he released. I thought it was incredible. People liked it, but his core fan base didn't super resonate with it. So when I put it in discovery mode, a ton of R&B fans loved it. It's been playlisted on official and unofficial playlists since then. So yeah, I think, so we tried it with Caleb. I was very intentional about getting Wande, one of my artist labels, to finally put her in it because they were like, well, we don't really like discovery mode. It doesn't elevate the artist. And I was like, hey, I was in the same thought process. I recognize that there are detrimental things, but if I look at it as a marketing budget, instead of looking at it as something that pulls away from our money, but it's more of an ad spend, then for me, dollar for dollar, it's way more significant. And we're seeing where we'll get an increase on those songs, but their monthly listeners sustains. So it's not like, oh, after the 90 days, they drastically drop off. We're seeing it sustain and grow after the 90 days. So we'll do like 90 days on, 30 days off, 90 days on, 30 days off. If it drops drastically in the 30-day period, I recognize that it's just the song. So sometimes I'll test other songs. Sometimes I'll leave that song in the discovery mode, but I've been testing and working through discovery mode with one of my artists for, again, a year and a half since it's been in beta and they offered it to us. And when they opened it, as they've been opening it up gradually, I try it with more of our artists. So now all of our artists minus Xavier is in discovery mode.
But if it's had this much of a positive impact, why wouldn't you try it with like one of the more popular songs?
Just because the streaming revenue, I'm worried because some of our bigger songs are like, especially for most of our artists, their lead song is an outlier and usually is already just streaming at a massive rate. My nervousness around that is us losing 30% of the revenue from an outlier song already that their core fan base is resonating with. I'm contemplating it for Wande because she has a song called Don't Worry About It that literally every 6 months, suddenly it'll take off again on its own organically. So we're contemplating doing it with that song because another one of our artists that we now manage is on that song. So it would benefit both of them. But that 30% decrease in the revenue on a song that is streaming significantly, at least for her catalog, is something that I'm nervous about losing out on and maybe not seeing as big of an uptick because it's not a foolproof methodology. Like sometimes it is. we'll see an increase and then it drops down, or sometimes we'll see one song that just kind of remains the same. But typically within the body of songs that we test out, I'll see on average a 4x increase, but it's not always every song. Sometimes it's just one track from the body of work that I test out.
Got you. So yeah, so I mean, anytime people react negatively to a new change or something, like I think you really have to examine it, because I don't think this is going to be an opportunity in this fashion like forever. I think only the first movers are going to be able to enjoy like the biggest benefits, right? Because there's more people enter Discovery Zone. Oh, Discovery Zone. I
used to love Discovery Zone.
I think that's like a kid's play. It's like a kid's like fun palace, right? Yeah. And Discovery mode. It's going to be harder to get those same benefits, right? It's just going to be and I don't know how Spotify plans to kind of monitor that. I don't think everybody's just allowed to go into Discovery mode, right? Because if everybody just put all their songs in Discovery mode, like it'd probably just be the same thing, except everybody would be paid 30% less. So try it. I mean, try it with some of your songs. I wouldn't say just try it with some of the songs you think suck. Like I would try it with some songs that you think really resonate with folks and see what impact it has. And plus, if you say you're not getting paid right now anyway, like what's the risk? Like,
so Erinn, you can just run Discovery mode for a period of time, and then once you deactivate it, that 30% royalty no longer applies.
Yeah, so I wonder if maybe, so it doesn't like deactivate. It's like an enrollment period. So it does deactivate, but they don't keep songs in Discovery mode. You basically allow it to be in Discovery mode. So yeah, I think because I don't know how it's going to work with the new system, but the way Discovery mode works right now, you have to opt in via distributor. So when they offered it to me in beta, they didn't even offer it to all my other artists. It was one distributor that I worked with, and we only worked with them for Caleb. So he was the only one available. So then I reached out to, because I was with Vidya for Caleb. Then I reached out to like DistroKid, STEM, and a couple other ones for some of my other artists. And they were like, this isn't available for their accounts yet. Or they were like, hey, we as a company aren't opting into this just yet. We want to do more research. We'll let you know. So slowly it's opened up and the rules have changed. The amount of time has changed. The type of song you can put in, because they used to say you can't do anything that's not over 18 months old. And then it was like, okay, you can do anything that's 90 days old. And now I think you can do anything that's 30 days old. So like they want to test that it's not the original. They won't let you do it at first because they want to see the original like peak of the song or the original jump of the song. But yeah, so it just deactivates. I don't know the time limits just yet or like right now, because my team is more so running Discovery mode based off of the data points that I'm looking for, and they're communicating. But I think it is 90 days now is the shortest amount of time that you can put something in. And then we just re-up on songs every 90 days.
Cool. So I mentioned Smart Shuffle. Smart Shuffle, a new feature that augments user-created playlists with Spotify picks, all of which are informed by the listener's history. Users often heavily stream these new playlists for the first several months after creation, but over time, they stream these playlists less frequently in favor of new music or mixes. Smart Shuffle aims to breathe new life into those old collections of songs by shuffling tracks and adding new, perfectly tailored suggestions. That's kind of cool.
I think the weird thing about this is that that's one of the features that I was like, they already had that. I think they just are highlighting it. And maybe it's because I'm an avid Spotify user and I'm always like looking to discover new music. But there used to be this feature where you could just click it and it would say like enhance, and they would add songs to your playlist. They would like, so you had 20 tracks on there. They would match it with like 10 or 15 more tracks, and then they would like seed it in. So I used that last year a ton. So I don't know if they just renamed the feature or if maybe they didn't get a big enough rollout for it when it first came. So they're now talking about it, but that's been around for, I feel like at least.
Well, it sounds like the only difference is like it's automated now. Like it just adds it.
Wait, you don't get to choose to do it? I don't like that. Don't add
Yeah.
it to my playlist if I didn't ask for it.
Yeah, I don't know. Another feature Spotify rolled out, it's called Clips. I think artists need to definitely take advantage of this, which lets artists add 30-second videos to their profiles. Are your artists doing that already?
Yeah, but I don't think that's open to everybody. Maybe it is. I could be tripping, but yes, we did that. We recorded videos again in like December. They asked us to do it, and it was supposed to be for, I don't know when they're rolling those out though, because I still haven't seen them on our profiles.
Oh, well, they're on the way soon. And then the concert listings and fans first. I think that's, I know that has been talked about before. So maybe they're just opening up that to more people, and where you can put your shows on your profile. It seems like they're I know Spotify catches the most shit, but like I feel like Spotify is also the platform that gives you the best opportunity to kind of like engage with your fans. Is it like 100% there? Like, are they just opening up, like allowing you to like message your fans and stuff like that? No, but the merch, I know you can sell merch through Spotify, the shows, like I don't see other platforms doing these things, or all of these things. I know that there's certain features here and there. So as much shit as Spotify catches, like I feel like they are leading in terms of tools and services that allow you to monetize outside of your music and engage, with your fans more directly than other platforms. Am I wrong in that, or would you agree?
I think outside of not being able to actually see real data on the people who are listening to your music, that part still gets me. But yeah, I think as far as engaging with new features and the ability to put your stuff in front of your fans and potential new fans, I will agree that Spotify is leading right now in that. So
my opinion, these changes to me get a B+. I'm giving them a B+. So shout out Spotify, and try discovery mode with a few of your songs before everybody does it. If your distributor allows for it. I know that Two Lost does, so make sure you check out Two Lost. Payne, let's go into your topic.
Before I go into that, if you're watching this podcast and you get a weird reply from a channel that appears to be me, but clearly isn't because it has a bunch of extra text on it that appears to maybe be in Arabic, then please don't reply, and certainly don't DM them on Telegram. Let me just tell you right now, scammers' favorite tools are these anonymous texting apps. So if they don't get you with a Google number, if someone gives you a number and something seems off, number one, go on, because I want to talk about scams, just a quick hot take. But all these music business scams have a lot of stuff in common. And if someone gives you a number to talk, whatever, go to, I believe it's White Pages online, and reverse search the number. And if it comes up as owned by Google or some company that is clearly just a provider of anonymous phone numbers that anyone can get for free, that's your final red flag. You shouldn't even go further. I mean, you should be able to spot it when they jump in your DMs asking you for money for something, but go a step further. However, if they ask if you have WhatsApp or Telegram or one of these services that if they're claiming they're in the United States, they shouldn't be using, that's really the final. That's like lighting the red flag on fire and then dousing it with gasoline and other flammable chemicals. So I feel like scamming's at an all-time high, and it's getting worse with how the economy is. And that's YouTube channel creator support telling me that they're not going to do anything to stop the scammer. So I tweeted, and I admit I should have been clearer in the tweet. I tweeted, if somebody reaches out to you with an opportunity, but that opportunity costs you money, it's not an opportunity, because people tore me apart on a technicality. which is, what if someone reaches out and says, here's an opportunity, but you have to fly out here to get it and you have to pay for a plane ticket? I'm like, okay, that's different. But you're right. You got me. If an artist is like, come out to LA, let's get in the studio, but they're not asking you for money. They're just saying they're not going to pay for your travel. That's obviously not a scam. So sorry for not having that level of clarity and specificity. What I mean is if a stranger reaches out to you and presents whatever they're offering to you as an opportunity and you didn't ask for it, you didn't even reach out to them, and this opportunity costs money, then it's a scam. And I'm not even going to say 99% of the time. I'm going to say 100% of the time. But a lot of people were saying, okay, well, what about paying to open up on tour? Scam. Well, what isn't that just called?
That's not a scam, Payne.
What?
I mean, it can't. Okay, I get what Payne is saying. I think it's a scam if it's like, it's called buying on, but most artists don't know about buy-ons, and buying onto a tour should be a strategic marketing play, not just a promoter charging you to perform in front of an artist in your local scene. I think there is a difference, but there are a lot of people who offer that though, Dane, and it is a scam. It's like they'll be like, yo, it's $200 per tour date, and there's not even a tour. There's nothing, and they take people's money and people run with it.
Yeah, but I mean, I would agree with you, Payne. Like for the most part, like I think that there are, definitely opportunities that you could pay for that aren't scams, right? Like,
but that's not what. So that's why I made that clarifying statement at the beginning. I'm like, I'm not saying don't, because a lot of people are like, well, what about
just lower your percentage, just lower it to like 95 or 90. And I think it just takes another layer of, because like Erinn said, like buy-ons in and of themselves are not scams, but one, they could be, and two, it could be a waste of money for you, even if it's not a scam. Like it takes a lot of variables to be in line for a buy-on to make sense for any artist, right? So it just takes another level of thought and research, not necessarily a scam.
If they match the criteria that it's a stranger reaching out to you and offering you something and then asking for you to send them money for whatever it is that they're offering that you didn't ask for, I'm not lowering my percentage. That's a scam. If you
what about if we send out an email promoting our consultations?
We're not strangers. That whoever is receiving that email.
We're strangers to a lot of people that.
No, but they opted in. If we're stealing the emails, then yeah, we're in the wrong. If if they're not familiar with us and they suddenly get an email from us, that should be a red flag for them. If we're emailing our legally opted in list, then no, we're fine. I mean, I know people try to get me on that technicality too. They're like, you said don't reach out to people and try to sell beats. Well, I get a weekly email from you. It's like, yeah, because you signed up for it. So that's a little different. If I let someone in my house, they're not trespassing.
So I mean, I would say a high percentage of them are probably scams. However, like, this is why the MEC exists. Like, once you just learn the business, like, you know how to vet like anything, whether somebody's off, whether you have to pay for it, don't have to pay for it. Like, you should be able to vet any opportunity. And with this industry being so small, like if somebody hits me up now and like I've never heard of them, like I'm gonna hit up Erinn or I'm gonna hit up you. Like somebody has to have heard of this person for it to be legit. Like there's no way that I don't know somebody, or at least maybe 2 degrees of separation. Like somebody knows somebody that knows somebody where this bullshit is coming from. Like, so either through your network or just the fact that you now have more knowledge of the business, you should be able to vet anything. So you shouldn't have to use like any blanket statement saying, hey, 100% of these are scams. Like don't rely on that stat that we made up. Rely on your knowledge and your network. because there probably is a few things that aren't necessarily scams, right? Even if somebody didn't opt into an email and didn't, I would just put the.
Well, like what have you seen? Give me an example.
I could give you an example, because I will tell you that I was quick to be like scam for something one of my team members sent me, and then he did a little research and I did a little research and it was actually legit. But I don't want to promote the platform because I don't want scammers to now reach out on behalf of this platform. But one of our in-house graphic designer is also an R&B artist. He was offered to play a show in New York, but he's in Milwaukee. So I was like, scam. And he doesn't have like a big following, but he has family from New York. So he was like, y'all want to do this show? Like, they're giving me 50% of all the tickets that I sell. So I was like, scam. It's a scam. And I was like, are they requiring you to sell tickets? And he was like, no, but they suggest that I try to sell at least 20. And I was like, well, they're saying that, but they're going to pack out the show with a bunch of rappers and it'll be 100 rappers in the room waiting for their chance. And you're just going to be messed up. So he was like, okay. He was like, well, I don't know. A lot of legitimate industry people follow their Instagram page. And I was like, well, they could have bought the page, whatever. I'm just kind of going through the rigmarole. But he seems like he really wants to do it. So I do a little bit of research. I said, well, if they're legit, ask them this question. How many artists are on the lineup? Is it a curated show? Can he bring his own DJ, or does it come with a DJ? What are the specs of the venue? What's the capacity? If he sells more than 20 tickets, does he get to move up in the lineup? Like, I asked him all of this. They send back a super professional email like, hey, thank you for asking these questions. The venue's 150 cap. We already have a headliner for the show, but if you end up sending this many tickets, we're only putting 3 other artists on the show because of this, this, and that. We found you through this network, which is why we felt like you would be a good fit for this. Yada, yada, yada. So then I was like, damn, it's not a scam. Do you know what I'm saying? So like, I think that was...
You're mad. You're mad at me.
I wasn't mad, but I like, there's so many scam like shows that it's like Afton bookings and what is that, like the one that Payne, it's crazy. He went on one of the tours and it was like legit for him. But me and you, our experience is that show booking is like a scam. But yeah, like, it wasn't a scam. They had like our legitimate show lineup. It was really good. They were like, even if you don't sell 20 tickets, you can still perform. But if you can sell the 20 tickets, we're looking at to put you on different shows in different regions. All that. He has like 40 family and friends in the area who already are committed to buying the tickets. So I think it'll be a good open door for him. So now, instead of having to spend the money to book a venue himself and only have 40 people there, he gets to go on as an opener or direct support and have 40 people come and now lead to another opportunity. So I will say that I am pretty quick to pull the trigger on the scam card, but that is an example of something that turned out to be not a scam that I thought was a scam, and he's actually going to do the show. I still yet to be determined if the show is well produced and well promoted, but as it stands, what I originally thought was going to be 100 rappers in a room yelling on the mic is actually going to be a really curated show in Brooklyn.
But he didn't have to pay, you're saying?
No, but I thought it was a scam because they were saying he had to sell tickets. And you know what I'm saying? So a lot of times when a lot of these booking companies come out, they're like, you have to sell this many. And they were like, you don't have to, but we're encouraging you to. That's what changed it, because when they reached out, they said, we would need you to sell 20 tickets.
Yeah, so that's the fundamental difference, I would say, because if there's a requirement where you have to sell tickets, or a lot of the time, they'll charge you for the performance, but they'll say, however, you can make that money back if you sell these tickets. And then that's when you know what it is. It's many, many artists, just doing pay to play. And I think, well, if you're capable of selling, say, 50 tickets to an event, then you're capable of just let's say each ticket is $20. You can just invest the money that you would have made off selling those tickets into booking a small capacity venue yourself. And you actually end up looking better and controlling the event. So yeah, I look at that situation as you just vetting an opportunity that I'm firm with my criteria. If someone reaches out to you, you don't know who they are, they offer you an opportunity, but that opportunity directly costs you money, I'm calling it a scam. I'm just calling it a scam. There are very subtle distinctions where like someone will reach out and be like, hey, you know, we want you to do this and this and this. And maybe it's not a scam, but it's not a good opportunity, but they're not asking you for money. They're not asking you to pay for an opportunity, because opportunities, to me, if you have an opportunity for me, then it's going to be this mutually beneficial thing. Or it's like, you're just perfect for this. And I'm just, out of the goodness of my heart, I'm connecting you with this opportunity. That's what I'm used to seeing in the business. And that's just kind of how the business works. It's not, man, I really want this artist to collaborate with this artist. However, you know, it's $500 and I get 20% commission, but I'm doing it out of the goodness of my heart.
I mean, I think it's fair. I guess what I'm also sensitive to is like, there are a lot of people in the industry that like think they're doing good, right? Like they genuinely think that they're providing and helping artists. But they just don't have enough experience to know that like what they're doing doesn't really help. I wouldn't put them in the scammer bucket. I think we're too quick to just be like, okay, they're scammers. Like, but no, they really thought they were helping. And maybe they eventually learn how to pivot the experiences or add to the experiences or service, whatever they're doing to like for actually be a benefit. I just think there's a middle ground between like scammers and like folks that offer really great opportunities. I've seen that. I've just seen that a lot. So I just don't want to quickly just label people scammers when they genuinely think that what they're doing is a quality service. They just don't have the experience to know like how to tailor that experience to something that does benefit artists.
What's an example of that?
Even a lot of promoters are that. I don't think it's like you're a good promoter or a scammer, right? I think people jump into the space thinking that they really are trying to provide a platform for artists to perform. And it just goes back to that thing. It goes back to like the pie, right? Like everybody feels like they need to take, everybody feels like they deserve more of the pie than what's even available, right? This promoter in the city might think, oh, I got the venue, I'm promoting all these things, and like they genuinely think, oh, I deserve 80% of the pie because I did all of these things. All these artists just did was come and perform. And then
are they charging the artists up front to perform?
I'm just making this scenario up, but the artist might come and be like, well, I brought some of the people and my performance is amazing. I deserve 40% of the pie. Now we're at 120 already. And whoever else needs to eat off the pie, right? I don't think all promoters are either quality promoters or scammers. Like there's people in the middle that are really trying to figure it out and think that they're doing well for artists. Same with people that offer promotion services and things like that. I don't think that they think that they are taking advantage of artists. Maybe there are some, but I just think they don't have enough experience to know that what they're offering is not really moving the needle and shouldn't cost what their price is.
Well, this is a really dark analogy, but if I hit someone with my car because I don't like them, I break their leg, right? If I drive drunk and I don't intend on hitting anyone with my car, but I drove drunk and made that very conscious decision to do so, and I hit someone and break their leg, the end result is the same. It's good. Like no one in court's going to be like, that guy, he just didn't mean to break his leg. It's like I broke someone's leg. And it sounds like the middle category that you're describing here isn't, I wouldn't call them scammers necessarily. I call them assholes.
Not even assholes. I wouldn't even go as far as to say they're assholes. Like
if you want 80% of an event that
I just made that number up to make a point, to make the pie make sense of like the pieces that we're taking. That's not a specific example. I don't even think they're assholes. I just think that they're they're inexperienced, because it might, some stuff might cost $100. It might just be a service that they're offering for $100, but they really should just be charging 25. Like, but they're not trying to capture that 75 on purpose because they're an asshole. Like, they really think, or maybe they had some success with one artist and then they think that it just applies to, and they think they can just repeat that hella times. So now they're charging $1,000.
Well, yeah, if they're providing a service, I mean, like, I don't, if you're providing a service and that you're actually giving the service and you're marketing it in an honest way, but your pricing tiers are just unreasonable, then that's just, you're someone with an unreasonable pricing tier. I'll turn that around and give examples from the producer community. I know of a lot of producers who are charging, $150 for an MP3 lease and then $500 for an unlimited license. And I look at their pricing structure and I think, okay, well, number one, you've expressed that you're having trouble selling these beats. I can see that, that whole Gucci versus Walmart debate really struck you because you're trying to be Gucci here. You're trying to look at your beats as a luxury brand and therefore charging a higher price point and marketing it in that way. Well, that's really difficult to do. And so you're frustrated and the average person can't really pay that price for, the same types of beats that other people are charging for maybe half the price or a third of the price. Are these producers scamming? No, but they're not really providing the type of value that the price implies they are. Now, if those same producers go out and are DMing artists, and I see this all the time, because when I put out my tweet, people are like, accept beats. And I'm like, no, I don't do this because I think this is scammy. If you're going out and doing outreach and jumping into a rapper's DM, yo, I love what you're doing. This music is hot. Here are my beats, but the beats cost money. Do you actually think their music is hot? No, you just want to get some money out of them. And
so that's a scam too, in your opinion?
In my opinion, yeah, because if you have to lie to get a person to buy your product.
I got news for you, Payne.
I'm curious.
Pretty much all the marketing you see anywhere is not going to be.
Yeah, of course.
Beautiful. The burgers that you see online, the burgers that you see in commercials is not what you get when you go to where,
the food industry is a scam.
That's not I just don't want to create this world where you're either doing amazing things for artists or you get put into this scam. But because once you get labeled a scammer and that really wasn't your intention, like that could really mess you up for some years. And that wasn't.
Man, no, it can't. Not in the music business. We got scammers that have 20-year careers and they are blatantly scamming people every time.
You don't want to be that guy though. You don't want to be is K.E. That's his name. K.E.'s
making a lot of money.
I know, but we keep talking about him. Even if he makes $1 billion, even if I made $1 billion, I wouldn't still want like hella people like calling me a scammer.
I mean, but that's what you're doing, and you just get to sleep on a pillow full of money. And I don't know, some people don't care.
But again, there has to be this middle ground before we just like label everybody a scammer, in my opinion. Right? Like,
because I think a person can scam without scamming. If intentionality is your criterion here, then it's like, well, this person did this, but they didn't know any better. But that's what a scammer does. So it's like someone got scammed. I'm not saying draw and quarter them. I'm not saying you're either amazing or you're a scammer. There is this middle ground, but that middle ground is ignorance. Sometimes people are just greedy. They're giving you an opportunity, but they're taking too much. They're overcharging. They're misrepresenting what they do, but it's out of ignorance. What I'm saying is, how does this sound? If I changed my semantics to if somebody reaches out, and this is actually what I said. I don't even think I called it a scam. What I say? I said, and if I'm wrong, I'll apologize. I didn't actually use the word scam for once. I said, if someone reaches out to you with an opportunity, but that opportunity costs you money, it's not an opportunity. And like, granted, again, you could say, well, it is an opportunity. It's an opportunity to potentially lose money, or it's an opportunity to vet a potential scammer. So like, again, I acknowledge that the way I worded it could have been a lot better, but I'm not calling it a scam.
I'm leaning towards you, Payne. I tend to think that it is more of a positive opportunity or scam. There's a little bit of gray space, but like you said, you may not go in with the intention, but that person got scammed. That's like, quick example. I have a record exec friend who wasn't paying out like royalties to a producer on like they didn't do LODs on Sound Exchange, right? So it's like their intent, and they didn't find out till years later. So they owed like thousands of dollars to several different producers. Their intention wasn't to be fraudulent, but those producers didn't get their money. So like, I think that it's a slippery slope to be like, if your intention isn't, because there's a lot of people doing shitty stuff, like a lot of shitty artists who are terrible humans. I've experienced this, and they're like, well, no, I just think I'm worth more. But it's like, no, you're trying to discredit me and cut me out of the deal because you have delusional thought processes or ignorant thought process about what's owed to other people. So that's why I think it's dangerous to be like, well, maybe their intention. There's a lot of selfish ass people who have terrible intentions, but they don't think their intentions are bad because they don't realize they're selfish. But I do also feel you, Dame, that we can't necessarily say it's only two buckets. But I think that there are a lot more people scamming in the industry than we're willing to admit.
Yeah. Well, I'm here. My final thought. I think scams are intentional, right? Because probably more often than not, I'm not happy with the service that I paid for. Like coming up, more often than not, I'm not happy. What comes to mind is Publicist. Like I don't ever think
yes.
I don't ever think I got what we paid for. I got something, I got a little things here and there. Like once we got moving, but I don't think it was worth what I paid for. We're not going to sit here and say all publicists are scammers.
No.
I think there has to be some intent. But like I said earlier, at the end of the day, like any opportunity should be able to be vetted through your knowledge of the business, your experience, and your network, right? And I wouldn't worry about like having to just look for keywords in an email or a DM to know like this is a scam. Rely on those three things: your knowledge, your experience, and your network. And you should be able to avoid 99.9% of things that you should be avoiding.
Sometimes it's easy though. Like if a label is like, hey, we want to sign you, send us $300, that's a scam. No matter what, we can agree on that, right?
Yes, that specific one is definitely not going to help you in any way.
I'm never going to endorse paying for a publicist until maybe you're making millions. And any publicist listening to this, I'm sorry, but I think the whole publicist industry, since the vlog era especially, has died completely down. I think publicists are a scam. If you're still making money being a publicist, you have to be scamming, because who are you convincing to pay you right now? Like, in what world does it make sense, unless you're getting smaller artists to give you $400 or $500 500 or 2 or 3,000. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm ignorant because I haven't entered the realm of money that requires one. So I'm assuming that it's a realm of money way beyond what I'm working with. But I think publicity, I've never experienced a positive experience from spending my money on a publicist. Even recently, the label is spending my artist budget. And I'm like, y'all can take that out of y'all's budget. This shit isn't doing anything for us. So shout out to the publicist if you're hearing this, but that shit is a scam.
It'd be like the same with just music marketing in general. That $1,000 isn't going to get you anything. But the labels obviously are using high-level marketers and high-level publicists. It's just we're talking about 50,000 plus. We're not talking about 5, 10K. And a lot of rappers will save that money up. And I'm just sitting there thinking, oh my God, you know what you could do with 10,000 if you actually you didn't just throw it at someone's doorstep and say, all right, do what you said you were going to do. And then like a month later, after that, those 2 or 3 blog articles came out and that like one print media article came out. They're like, okay, give me another 10,000. We'll do another run. And it's like, the artists could have done that themselves by just simply networking with media. Yeah. And again, like, is that a scam? This is where I get what Dame's saying, because did the publicist that took the 10,000 really truly believe in their heart that was worth the 10,000? Maybe
they do.
Yeah, I agree. Some of them do. Some of them really do, but again, because they're ignorant and because probably they're doing some sort of like mental work to convince themselves that, you know, when they brush their teeth and look in the mirror at night, that they're doing the right thing. I can't get in people's heads, but I don't think they're necessarily rubbing their palms together and saying I'm scamming these people. I think people, especially people who work in fields that aren't necessarily all that currently relevant, end up scrambling for money and compromising their own ethics, maybe without consciously doing it. Maybe subconsciously they're aware of it, but yeah, it becomes a lot less black and white at that point.
Well, I mean, I know I got to run because I got to wrap this up, but just one. So for the most part, like, you know, a publicist is the last person that you need to add to your team. Like, once you get moving, I think that there is some strategy behind, you know, having or a publicist implement some kind of strategy. Like, because for us, it was good to have a publicist to kind of just field the inquiries and kind of like vet them and figure out which ones make the most sense for us to partake in. Right. And if there's a particular lane that you want to be in, it's good to have somebody that is aggressively trying to find like that world for you. Right. So if you're a vegan rapper, you bring on a publicist, hopefully they're aggressively trying to find like all of the big Instagram vegan brands, all of the festivals, conferences, things like that.
Well, my assistant can do that.
Yeah, but maybe not as effectively if that publicist already has the ear of some of those platforms.
I feel
I mean, I guess you can train an assistant to do stuff like that, but I still think relationships are important. But I do also agree that there's a threshold. Like, once you reach a certain world, like, a publicist really matters, you know, especially when you get to like megastar status and you start doing dumb shit. And now you need a publicist to help, you know, coach you through interviews and to stop you from doing some of the dumb shit and keep you away from, so. But for the most part,
well, and modern day publicists, there are modern day publicists that have incorporated social media strategy and, you know, just
podcasts,
influencer marketing, paid ads through the various platforms. So being an effective publicist in 2023 involves a lot more than it did 10 years ago when it was just like favor for a favor.
We got on some podcasts, some publicist radars, even with the MEC. Like, people started, you know, pitching us guests to have on the MEC because I guess they did I don't know how much work they did, but they found out about us through Instagram or listened to the podcast or whatever. And some of them I'm like, yeah, and some of them in the past. Matter of fact, there's a cat that you probably know him, Payne, because I think he's a pretty popular producer. My Guy Mars, I think. He's the co-founder of 1500 or Nothing.
Yeah, 1500 or Nothing is pretty amazing.
Look at this publicist going to work, finding the MEC to I'm gonna reach back out to him and see. I don't know if we have some changes coming to the MEC very soon, so we'll definitely keep everybody posted. But again, even Publicist goes back to knowledge, experience, and network. Like, that's what I'd say. Anyway,
shout out to the Publicist. I'm not hating on y'all. I just haven't seen it.
A little bit.
Well,
I'm usually the one going the hardest on the Publicist, but as soon as Erinn got here, she went super hard.
We're all getting challenged. Producer community gets challenged. Record labels get challenged. Managers get challenged, and we're all three of those things. So,
because you got to evolve.
Yeah.
Like everybody has to evolve. And if you're not evolving to include social media, podcasts, and figuring out ways to add more value, then these old school publishers should get left in the dust.
Yeah.
Well, old school anything. If you have a mentality that look, there are problems in the producer community. That doesn't make me problematic as a producer. If I don't call it out, though, if I don't discuss it honestly, and if I don't get my ideas and notions challenged, then I would say that makes me part of the problem. So same with Dame, we go hard on the labels and he ran a label. So none of us are storming off. I know you got to run, so we're going to wrap this up. Appreciate everyone tuning in. I'm really happy to have such a growing base of loyal listeners. That means a lot. So thank you. I'm not in the streets like Erinn is right now, meeting them all, but one day I hope to be back there. Maybe the three of us have a podcast tour at some point. That would actually be fun. We'll figure it out. Anyway, we'll be back same time next week with another episode of the MEC podcast. Peace.